Welcome back to an all-new episode of The High Road with Drake and Serena. I'm Drake Travis.
And I'm the better half, Serena.
Better half?
Yeah, I mean, right, everybody?
Guys, let me help you. Okay, I'm outnumbered here. I will admit Serena is the better half.
Oh, that was very bold of you. We are going to be touching on marriage today. An alarming trend is occurring within our U.S. military troops. We're going to discuss why there is such a high divorce rate in the military. What's happening?
And to answer these questions, we're talking with Chad Robichaux, a highly decorated vet. We'll also meet Joe Molis and hear his story of overcoming battlefield trauma. I'm ready to get started.
Oh, should I take your hat?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Very good. Thanks, sir. But before we get into some heavy stuff, here's a bit of levity on the lighter side.
Oh, hey, okay. I'll see you soon.
Good. And we should try to laugh a bit. I mean, no sense crying about the disastrous Obamacare. I mean, here's a great sign. Obamacare. To insure the uninsured, first we make the insured uninsured. Then we make the formerly insured pay more to become reinsured to insure the uninsured for free. That sums it all up. I mean, hey, welcome to the 21st century. You know, our phones are wireless, cooking is fireless, cars keyless, relationships meaningless, attitudes careless, babies fatherless, education valueless, country godless, Congress clueless, the president worthless, which leaves you and me speechless. Well, yeah, I finally know how to pray for the president. I saw this bumper sticker. It's a bumper. It reads, "Pray for Obama," Psalm 109:8. From Psalm 109:8, it says, "Let his days be few and brief, and let others step forward to replace him." Now, last we can honestly voice a biblical prayer for our president. I mean, speaking of the book of Psalms, I'd like to read you Psalm 23 from the NOV. That's the new Obama version. Obama is the shepherd I did not want. He leadeth me beside the still factories. He restoreth my faith in Lincoln's Republican Party. He guideth me in the path of unemployment for his party's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the breadline, I shall fear no hunger, for his bailouts are with me. He has anointed my income with taxes. My expenses runneth over. Surely poverty and hard living will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in a mortgaged home forever. Anyways, great show coming up. Stay tuned. Forged from the grueling rigors of military training, the American serviceman is a fighting machine, bulked up physically and mentally and armed to fight the enemy and even to die should duty require it. Today we're talking with a former Force Recon Marine about the one battle that brought him to his knees shortly after his boots were back on American soil. After serving 8 tours of duty, this decorated military hero had no training for a war that awaited him stateside. He'll share about his life after war and the prevalence of PTSD, suicide, and divorce among our veterans. Please meet Chad Robichaux, founder of Mighty Oaks Warrior Programs. Chad.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So great to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Chad, in the big picture, was America worth fighting for?
Absolutely, and still is.
What's in your heart as you're defending this land?
You know, I've got a chance to see the rest of the world, and despite different political opinions or which direction this country may or may not be going, I believe America stands out as, you know, a very significant, unique place in the world, and you know, we should really feel privileged to live here and the freedoms that we have. It's you know, it's an incredible place, the greatest country in the world.
What?
Yeah, well, we feel the same way. Chad, it's clear that the military trained you to be in battle, but there's one battle that the military did not train you for. Tell us about it.
Yeah, you know, you get all this training and you get eager to go do your job, and then you get the opportunity to do it, and you don't realize the price tag that comes on that, and that's what we're seeing in so many service members today, and that's exactly what happened to me. Came home and I wasn't prepared to reintegrate into real world as far as being a husband and being a father and being a family man.
So what are some of the things that you went through after you came back?
Well, I was diagnosed in April of 2007 with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but it was something that turned my life upside down. I went in about a 3-year downward spiral, and I almost lost everything that was dear to me, the most important things in my life, my family, my wife, my children, and my integrity, and the legacy that I would like to leave behind as a warrior. And I almost lost it all.
Wow. And so how prevalent is PTSD and suicide or divorce among people coming back from battle?
It's very common. I think as we're moving further along, the military is learning how to train our warriors to be more resilient, but still the long deployments, the multiple deployments, guys are spending so much time in combat, and after 13 years of war and guys continuing to go, eventually it catches up with guys, and they suffer the same way I did. And guys aren't equipped to come home and be able to reintegrate.
Does everybody get it?
No, I wouldn't say it.
I mean, the cooks don't come home with PTSD.
In some cases, they do.
Some do, huh?
I mean, you different people in different jobs are based on our backgrounds and our ability to handle stress and anxieties.
Yeah.
Every situation is different, and I believe that one person's service, if they're a force recon Marine or a cook, isn't significant from one another. We all face different types of scenarios, but it's how we deal with them when we get home that's really the important issue.
Well, so you're back. You've got post-traumatic stress syndrome. I mean, what are you witnessing that led you to form the Mighty Oaks Warrior programs?
Well, I'm witnessing that I wasn't the only one. I came home and was going through this downward spiral and realized that at the time I thought I was the only one that faced this. And when I realized that I wasn't the only one that had faced suicide, I wasn't the only one that almost lost my family through a divorce, that other people had faced this just like me. Matter of fact, 23 veterans a day are killing themselves.
Whoa, 23 American veterans home from war are killing themselves daily.
Every day.
Wow,
Good Lord.
that's an alarming statistic.
And the divorce rate is over 80%. So realizing I wasn't the only one, I was kind of in a position like someone has to do something about this, and why not me? And so I passed what was brought to me, a challenge in the mentorship. My wife challenged me to say, you could do all these things, you could serve your country, you could become a force recon Marine, you could be a professional athlete, you could do all these things that I have done, but when it comes to your family, you'll quit. And
that's kind of cool.
That's motivating.
I like the way that this kind of transitioned. I mean, you trained for war, then you came home and you fought your own war, and then you started a whole new battle helping guys to fight for their own families.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it was me, she was right, I had quit, and I had failed, and the most important things in my life. So in coming to the other side of that, I had a mentor come into my life, and he gave me this blueprint of the way I should have been living my life. Wow. And I realized that I still had control of my life, and I passed it on to the next guy. And that's what Mighty Oaks Warrior Programs does, our programs. It's taking mentors of guys who have been there before and passing that on.
Hey, well, Chad, what are some of the misconceptions about treating those who return from combat?
Well, the biggest thing we see is the medical solution. I'm certainly not disqualifying the medical and clinical world from the things they offer our veterans. However, I don't believe it's the first line of solution. The first solution for the guys. We see many of our guys come to our program upwards of 30 pills a day for PTSD.
Wow.
And I can tell you that pills didn't work for me, counseling didn't work for me. The healing power of Christ in my life, the mentorship that came along with that, and those types of things is what helped me, and what I see helping other guys.
My heavens! So, Christ, you found was the anchor.
For me, aligning myself with my faith and being the man that God created me to be, and actually seeing for the first time in my life a blueprint of what manhood looked like, and having something to be grounded to, is what was a changing thing in my life. I think most guys join the military looking for that model of manhood, and the military does a great job of teaching us how to be warriors. But I think the military falls short with the core values of manhood.
Wow, I'm feeling this gauntlet that you found yourself having to go through. In part 2, we'll meet a decorated vet who suffered extreme PTSD. You'll learn how Chad's programs helped this vet put his life back together after his Humvee hit an IED that killed 2 other Marines and indeed blew up his life. I'm Dr. Drake, and it's time to cut the nonsense. I'll start by saying that this applies if you're Democrat, Independent, Republican, Tea Party, or the newly formed DNC Pot Party. This should give any American chills up their spine. 10 years ago, a Chicago politician wrote the following in Audacity of Hope. I will stand with the Muslims should the political winds shift in an ugly direction. Ladies and gentlemen, as you watch, right now, ISIS is brutally killing babies, children, and innocent people like it's 586 BC. Why? Because those corpses didn't believe what ISIS believes. Thousands of innocent, beautiful people are being beheaded by ISIS. And what is this president doing? Playing golf, partying, and going to Democrat fundraising events. He says he doesn't have a strategy on what to do with the crisis with ISIS. Duh. And Obama lectures Israel to be patient and tolerant while they're being bombed. Furthermore, Obama sends $78 million of your tax dollars to Gaza. He has no rebuke for Hamas, and they're just as violent as ISIS. He continues to tell Israel to stand down and wait, and then wait some more. Honestly, if Mexico were launching rockets into San Diego, Yuma, or El Paso, killing American citizens who are shopping and gardening and surfing, what would your reaction be? Well, that illustration is all too prevalent for Israel. On just about a daily basis, Hamas launches their bombs at innocent people in Israel. What gives anyone outside of Israel the right or the nerve to tell Israel to back down and wait? Okay, here's one. Think about this. If Hamas president and the U.S. president switched places, nothing would change in either region. No, not with those two being buds. However, if Netanyahu became president of the United States, the U.S. would finally have a leader that understands all the dangers that our country is currently facing economically, militarily, sociologically, and spiritually. Leaders from France and England cancel their vacations to deal with the real threats to their countries. You know, it's sad that President B.O. continues his vacations. Yeah, you heard right. While Rome burns, he keeps chipping and putting. He does so because none of this personally threatens him. Thus, he doesn't care. That's our president wearing mommy jeans. Meanwhile, there's no protection at our southern border as immigration policies do not work for honest people. America, we need to pray for our future. We are in danger from all this nonsense. Are you tired of the nonsense? Send your ideas to feedback@thehighroadshow.com. We're talking with Chad Robichaux, a highly decorated vet. We'll also meet Joe Molis and hear his story of overcoming battlefield trauma.
Well, after my 2 deployments, my second deployment, I lost 2 Marines, and after I got out, it happened so fast, I fell on my face. I thought I was a man, but I wasn't a man. I was a Marine, I was an alcoholic, I drank and partied, I wasn't a man. So I started destroying my life. I started pushing my family away. I didn't want nobody to love me because I didn't want that responsibility no more after I lost my 2 guys. I didn't want to have that love no more. I have to love somebody. So I pushed everybody away in any way I could. And my wife got tired of it, and she went out and sought help and found Chad.
This wounding, you've made it pretty clear, but I want to make it definitively clear. This wounding affected your entire family.
Definitely, sir. The male's the head of the household. He's what drives the house. And I mean, when I was hurting, my whole family was hurting. My kids, my wife, my mother, my father, everybody was hurting. They all felt it, and I didn't understand that.
Your mother and dad, you felt them reaching out to you, and that made you go, or
they were reaching out to me, and they got tired of it sometimes too. They couldn't get me to change. Nobody could get me to change. They didn't understand why I was drinking. That's what made me feel natural. I could be myself again when I was drunk. I didn't have to be so tense and tightened up and in a shell. Being drunk let me be free again.
It seemed like it.
What I love so much about Joey's story is he embodies everything we do at our program. is he made that decision to grab hold of his life again. You know, you could, what a lot of other processes do is they look at the incident, they look at the deployment being bad, and not look at the decisions the guys make every day. So what we say is, hey, don't look at this incident that you experienced doesn't define your life. What really defines your circumstances is the choices you make every day, and you could choose differently. And we see these guys get challenged in that area, and then they choose differently, and they regain control of their life, and that's what Joey did. He saved his family.
Powerful. So what was the transition like from the battlefield to civilian life? I mean, and you sustained a head injury.
Yeah, you're wounded.
So I was this good Marine. I was a sergeant. I knew my job. I had a whole squad I was in charge of. So I come out of the Marine Corps, and I have a brain injury. I can't go to college. I had to relearn math. I had to relearn how to talk right. I stuttered. I forgot words. I walked crooked, you know, just little things like that. I was just this proud Marine, and I come out, now I'm a civilian, and I can't do all these simple things, you know, so I felt not like a man again, you know.
You were brought down to rock bottom,
Definitely.
And had a process coming out of that. I'm just curious, we have these movies, Unbroken, American Sniper. Do you think that these movies are helping to portray what the types of things that you guys are going through?
I think they're getting better.
They're getting better.
As we go along.
Yeah.
Okay.
They used to not, but American Sniper, that's a definitely good start.
Yeah, for me and my wife, you know, we watched American Sniper together, and one thing we relate to is how I was able to function in a combat environment and do these amazing tasks, and you see all these military guys who do these amazing things, and you come home and you can't even find your way to the grocery store. So you know, what's the disconnect there? And my wife's like, just was so connected to it, and I was too. Wow. That interaction between the family and combat.
Mel Gibson, 12-something years ago, We Were Soldiers 12 years ago. They talk about the tension that the wives go through. Did that strike with you? Did you see that 12 years ago?
Sure, yeah. I mean, for me and my wife as well, I mean, they're serving too. I mean, these wives, they're serving. Yeah. They're you know, they give up their husbands, they give up the fathers of their kids to go out and serve, and so there's a toll that comes to the wives and the family.
Believe it or not, these wives are getting PTSD from us, you know. I mean,
wow, I didn't know. It's like it's almost contagious or
yeah,
something. I've never heard that.
My wife, I mean, she has some form of PTSD because of the stuff I put her through, you know.
Oh my goodness.
My wife hears the drawer open in the middle of the night, and she thinks I'm leaving the home. She hears the car key, she thinks I'm leaving the house to go and be an idiot. You know, I mean.
Any parting words of wisdom to military family and friends?
Just be to hold on with all your might, and you have to trust in God, you know. Find something and trust in it, and just run with it. Don't look back, you know. I found God. God's in my heart now. You know, He's gonna be in my heart forever.
Do you hear, like, if you need help, say so?
Correct.
Is that?
Yeah. If you need help, say so. But first of all, you know, to the veterans, no one's disordered. You're not broken. You're not done. You're not a victim. There's hope out there, and there's people out there who care. America is a grateful nation. People care, and there is hope available. And you know, there's guys like Joey, like me, who have fallen on our face, but we got back up.
Thank you, guys. And I will speak for a grateful nation. We're free because of you. Folks, they stood in for us. Let's stand in and be there for them.
I'm Melissa Nunnally, and we are back on Global Connection, where we solve the world's problems in just 3 minutes or less. Today's topic, the Ebola virus. Experts say the 2014 Ebola outbreak was the deadliest in history. According to the World Health Organization, more than 10,000 people died and 25,000 people were infected. It seemed the entire world was concerned about this outbreak. Let's discuss this. Do you guys think that this concern was justified?
It seems a little bit overly concerned, unnecessarily bloated. All lives matter. You know, I have friends in the area. For every one Ebola death in Africa, there were 5 flu deaths here. You hear about all this? You don't hear about all.
So you're saying we're not as concerned about the flu virus, and yet more people are dying here in the States from that than they actually died from Ebola.
5 times as many. So,
Well, yeah, but here, the recovery rate from the Ebola virus, your stats are much less than, if most everybody recovers from the flu. I mean, many more people get it and recover.
Yeah.
Ebola, not so much.
The statistics are actually 50%. It's a 50% fatality rate for Ebola. So you don't really get that with the flu, which is interesting.
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, what's the media hiding while they're focusing on all the,
Well, yeah.
Well, you guys, there were several aid workers who contracted Ebola in West Africa, and we actually brought them back to the United States for treatment. What are your thoughts about bringing somebody back who actually has the virus back to the United States?
These were aid workers, like missionaries. Yeah. Well, should we be transporting a disease from one hemisphere to another? Are we transporting it? Are we curing it?
You're saying that we shouldn't be importing diseases, just leave them over there? Well, I don't know. I think, really, okay, how are they going to get the care that they need in a West Africa hospital? Bring them back to the States. Let's deal with it. We can contain it. It's not like we haven't dealt with containment before. Let's deal with it here and prevent the outbreak from continuing over there as well.
We definitely have the facilities, and what's interesting about the people that we did bring back to the United States, no health workers were affected by the people that we brought back. So we do know what we're doing when it comes to containment.
None were infected?
No.
None. Oh, okay.
So none of the doctors or assistants or anything.
Recovery rate was?
Well, out of the 11 people we brought back, 2 of them did pass away of the people that we treated, but
the others recovered. So
all the others recovered.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, 9 out of 11. It probably wouldn't have been 9 out of 11 if, yeah.
So it is definitely an interesting topic. Well, we want to know what you have to think. Should we try and keep these type of viruses at bay by not bringing infected people back to the States? Or should we do whatever it takes to make sure our fellow citizens get the help that they need? Send us an email at feedback@thehighroadshow.com and let us know your thoughts.
Well, Serena, another great show in the bag.
And I loved your points on what the president has been up to while the world is falling apart. Remember about Chad and Joseph? Aren't those guys great? What a couple of stand-up guys.
It is a good reminder that the war doesn't stop when the warrior comes home. And they just need to shift to fighting for their families.
Good reminder. Don't forget to tell us your questions, suggestions, and comments at feedback@thehighroadshow.com.
Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time with our guests, Dr. Phil Aguilar and Pastor Kevin Brown. Remember to keep taking the high road.